Codependence refers more to the emotional hook that we have with each other. It's also known as low differentiation of self. There's a clear difference between who I am and who you are, and having boundaries between us and someone else. With codependence, there's not such a clear boundary. Those feelings kind of bleed over into each other, and if somebody is needing something, then we feel responsible for meeting that need. It's very related to addiction, because there's always a codependent relationship with family members. This phenomenon of codependence, it's very addictive. It's just as addictive as any substance. It is difficult to give up being codependent, and we practiced it for many, many years, and probably going back generations. A lot of these family patterns didn't start now. They started generations ago. Even if there wasn't using in the system, there was this emotional pattern. When you're codependent with somebody else, it's being dominated by the feelings and values and needs of somebody else, and being disconnected or putting second your own feelings and values in favor of somebody else's. The emotions and the intellect can be very fused, and there's extreme reactivity to each other. If person B is, let's say that's the addict, is upset, it's very hard, probably impossible for person A, if there's a codependent relationship, to not be also upset, possibly even more. It can be thought of as a lack of differentiation of self, that it's really hard to tell the difference between you, who you are and who I am, what I'm feeling, what you're feeling, what I'm all about versus what you're all about. It's hard for me to separate my thinking from my feeling. I also feel I need to agree with you, or I need you to agree with me. There's not the capacity to view reality differently. You have to agree with the way I see it. I have to agree with the way you see it. And we're not allowed to have our own unique take on what's actually going on. So it's almost like you're merged into a common self. This makes you much more vulnerable to stress. You're not just dealing with your own stress. It's the added stress of taking responsibility for another person. There's these two opposite drives within human beings. It's rooted within our survival instincts, our life force. We have this desire and drive to grow up to be a separate person, emotionally separate person, just be unique, be able to think, act, and feel as ourselves, as an individual. And there's an equally strong life force to be emotionally connected to the family system. And that's instinctively rooted also. There's more safety being involved with the herd, with the group, with the family. And a lot of times that can mean giving up that individuality in order to be loved, approved, and accepted within the family. There's always this counterbalancing force. There's both and. You want to be part of the family and you want to be separate. So there's that tension there all the time. The challenge of living, of how do we be our own person and still stay connected to the family, which has its own rules and norms and pressure on us to be a certain way. That leads to this tension between self and other. What am I all about? What do I do for myself? What do I do for others? What is the right balance? So it really takes courage to grow up into our own person.